What is up, guys? This is Brandon.
Hi, I'm Jade.
Good day, guys. Kyle here, and let's get saucy.
Welcome to episode 5 of FPL Source. We are finally starting the season properly, so we are keen to bring you our new structure and revamped look.
Awesome. Let's get right into it then. So, for the first segment, we're now talking about the news, views, and news. In terms of news, we've got some inside sources over here, price changes, transfers, and loans and injuries. Let's talk a bit about price changes quickly, some of the key factors. Bruno obviously went up, Pogba up, Richarlison also up, Antonio. Then in terms of fallers, we've got a Kane who dropped, so he might start being able to fit in some more players' teams. In terms of transfers, we've got Lukaku, who's obviously might be starting this game week 2. Loans, we've got Brandon Williams, who's joined Norwich from Man United. And we've also got, in terms of transfers, actually, we've also got Willock from Arsenal, who's joined Newcastle on a new deal. So that's pretty exciting too. He had a great end to last season at Newcastle. In terms of injuries, I've only got 2 here. Gundogan and Dennis, both 75% chance of playing. So they are most likely to get a game. You guys got anything to say about that?
Yeah, I noticed also Benrahma has gone up. Pretty happy about that. Having him and Antonio from the start is some good bargain buys that are going to get way more expensive throughout the season, in my opinion. So I'm happy with that.
That's true. All right, so let's move on to views then. We've got what sorcery is this? And let's explain. Well, we've got some reasonable relishes. Every manager probably has one of these players in their team, possibly even 2. So it's the battle of the 7.5 to the 8.0 forwards. Obviously, you've got Antonio, Ings, Watkins, Wilson, Richarlison, Jimenez, Calvert-Lewin. There's so many options, and obviously every manager wants to get this pick right because, like I said, everyone at least has one. So you want the guy who's going to be outscoring and the guy whose price is actually going to rise as well to help your budget. In terms of fixtures, I've only highlighted 3 big ones here. We've got City versus Norwich, Liverpool versus Burnley, and Man United versus Southampton. I'd be targeting all those big teams there. In terms of differentials, we've got a highlight of Sarr, Benrahma, Dennis, Pinnock, and Alonso. All of those had some great returns, and for some reasonable prices, also quite low ownership as well. In terms of promoted teams who turn up the heat, Watford obviously beat Villa 3-2, which was quite a good game. I watched that one, and Brentford searing Arsenal 2-0. You got something to say?
I just want to say that Marcus Alonso's free kick over the weekend was spectacular. That's
one
all
of
I
the
have
good
to say
ones.
about that.
Which one or two of these mid-priced forwards do you guys have, and which ones would you recommend? If you could only pick one in your team, who would you have?
It's very tough. I will start. I've got Ings and Wilson. I've got a bias for Wilson. I've liked him since Bournemouth days, so I always think he's a fantastic forward. But in terms of who to pick, you know what? After seeing this weekend, Antonio and West Ham probably are the ones to go, depending on how Aston Villa pick up their socks. But yeah, Antonio and West Ham, they don't have the greatest fixtures compared to Wilson and some of the other ones at the moment. But I think throughout the season, Antonio might be one of the highest scoring ones out of these.
True. I think between Antonio and DCL, I would want to go for one of those 2. I don't have either in my team at this moment in time, but they are the ones that I'm definitely keeping a very close eye on.
Cool. The next segment.
And you, Brandon?
I've got Ings and I've got Antonio. I'm pretty happy with Antonio. I'm definitely thinking about moving Ings on to either Dominic Calvert-Lewin or Bamford, even little sneaky Bams, because I don't have Rafinha. So yeah, that's my little game plan.
True. I think Bam I haven't added to this list. I'll make sure I edit this before we post it on our socials. And then on to that last segment there, the news of the last game week. So the source uncensored. So obviously City got outsourced by Spurs. They looked great first 20 minutes. Rest of the game, they didn't really look like a great City team. And Spurs played without Harry Kane, and who is a City transfer target. So I think this just makes the whole drama segment quite hilarious that Spurs still beat them without their talisman. Just great stuff. Southampton became Southampton since Ings left, Vestergaard left, and yeah, if you watch their previous game, they really got outplayed.
They are completely pup.
Yeah, completely pup. Martinez also became a Martinu. I know last season he was a lot of people's saviors, but yeah, he let 3 goals past him against Watford. So don't know how Villa is going to be turning out this season, and especially in terms of Martinez being the most owned goalkeeper. Also, the last U there is Carl's weak source team. Didn't even beat the week average. He landed on a lack of 60 there. We'll have an image there of his team, so you guys can all check it out. Pretty sure he feels a bit hard to by.
Yeah, I was horribly misinformed with regards to Kane not starting. I thought I was going to be clever, and I was wrong. that screwed me, as well as the fact that I didn't own Bruno Fernandes. It was those two players, yeah. I went for Greenwood over Bruno so that I could have Kane in my team, and it just flopped horribly. But it's still early in the season. It's a marathon, not a race, and I feel like I can claw my way back in.
Good stuff.
Sure. Great, so that's the end of my segment.
Okay, so we move on to the Source-O-Meter. So this is a segment that we're going to basically rank people in our watch list in terms of their spiciness. Obviously, the higher we go, the hotter it is. So we're going to start with the top segment, which is the Lord Sources. And basically, these are people that no matter where you are in the rankings, you should be owning these people. You are going to find it very hard to keep up with the pack if you do not own at least 3 of the 4 of these people. Obviously, every week, these people are going to shift and change. There'll be more additions and people will move up and down the rankings. But for this week, the Lord Sources are obviously Bruno and Salah. They got a 20 points and a 17 points respectively in the first game week. And I'm pretty sure anybody that didn't have one of these two is struggling behind the pack already. Then Antonio and Trent Alexander-Arnold are slightly less Lord Source, but in terms of their form and their predicted points in the coming weeks, I think these are almost must-haves in the game at this point. So yeah, do you guys disagree or agree with the Lord Source?
Well, I think Antonio could be slightly debatable in place of DCL or a Bamford, as you mentioned earlier, even a Watkins if Aston Villa start performing. But I don't think it's a must-have. It's a strong inkling that you should own him.
Yeah. I just watched that Newcastle West Ham game, and Antonio missed a penalty, so he could have got another 3 or 4 points from that. He had another shot that basically just missed the bar. He could have been on a 20-pointer, and I think we would have all had to break our teams to get him in if we didn't already have him. So that's what influenced me on this pick. It should be said that even though Antonio and Trent Alexander-Arnold didn't return so many points this week, well, Antonio did with a nice 12-pointer, but I feel like their potential right now is the highest in the game.
Well said.
So Spicy Spice, we move down the list. These go to Son, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Pogba, Benrahma, Sarr, Wilson, and Richarlison. So these were picks that Sorry, go ahead, Jade.
Yeah, no, I like Son being on that list. Definitely Benrahma at the moment, considering West Ham's form in general. So that's Antonio and Benrahma making this list quite high up there. I think all of those are definitely ones you're looking to bring in at some point in time. They keep up their form.
Yeah, I basically chose this segment on returns last week and how their performances were. But, for example, Pogba, he outscored Antonio and Trent Alexander-Arnold. But we know Pogba is inconsistent. So I couldn't bring him to the Lord Source. But because he played so well, he's a spicy spice, So yeah. And the same goes for Dominic Calvert-Lewin. He only got the one return, I think. But the amount of crosses that he received in that last game that he played was unbelievable. So I think the potential is there. We just need a few more returns from him and actual points converted or whatever that will, bring him up into lordship status.
True. I mean, last season, Calvert-Lewin started on a cracker. I think he was getting a return for numerous games in the first 10 game weeks. His price rose from like a 7 to a 7.5 or something like that in no time as well. So definitely one to look out for.
So yeah, then going on to mild, we have people that showed glimpses of their potential that might have not, proven themselves just yet. Or there might be rotation risks, as you'll find with Alonso, Jota, Greenwood, Dennis even from Watford. Then we also have a few people that did very well this week, but I can't see them returning these performances consistently, such as Caños and Pereira and Mbuemo. He didn't even return, but he looked so good that he deserves a spot on this list.
So, yeah, I must say,
very true.
In terms of Brandon and Pereira, he's probably his heart-sore child. He's tried to get him in 2 seasons. It's never worked for him. So, yeah, just learn from Brandon's lessons there. But in terms of Dennis, yeah, King's also part of the Watford forward. So we'll see who actually becomes the main starter. So that is one to hold out and just check up on before.
Very true.
Does King play for Everton or Watford?
No, Watford.
Really?
Yeah, he's a Watford forward. He was bought from Bournemouth this season, beginning of the season.
Very interesting.
Definitely one to watch there. Okay,
Yeah.
Moving on to the captaincy table. Kyle?
Right. Captaincy options, drizzling double pointers. All right, guys. So what I did is I tried to plan for 3 weeks in advance, as well as a focus on some of the differential captaincy options. The last segment we're going to be talking about is a player focus on Mo Salah this week. So I'm just going to jump straight into game week 2, what I thought about it, what I think the potential captaincy options are going to be for these coming game weeks. So the first fixture I focused on is Liverpool versus Burnley. Obviously, the main man of the team, Mo Salah. I wouldn't think of captaining Sadio Mane or Roberto Firmino, not even Diogo Jota, simply because Mo Salah gets the most touches in the box, the most goals out of the team, and he's on penalties. So it makes sense. If you don't own him, just like what Brandon said, you should be owning him. The second fixture I want to focus on is Southampton versus United. Southampton are basically crippled. They are not going to feature well this season rather. They're simply going to concede. So the players I put in here were Bruno Fernandes, because he's going to score points. He's going to score points throughout the season. The second player I put in was Greenwood, because he's got goal returns. If you don't own Bruno Fernandes, I think Mason Greenwood or Paul Pogba would be your shouts if you want to captain them. Paul Pogba, I'm a little bit iffy on. Like what was mentioned earlier, he's got sporadic form at best, and he's got that horrible ankle of his that seems to always be injured. The third thing I wanted to mention is that Paul Pogba has been linked with a transfer out of Old Trafford. So that might put doubts in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's mind whether to play him more consistently or not. I'm not sure on the political ongoings inside the club at the moment, but that's what I see.
Just to stop you there, in terms of watching him play for France and watching him play for United, you always see a different Pogba. So that should say it all.
Taking nothing away from his previous performance, which was absolutely spectacular, I must say. I really enjoyed.
He's capable. It's not the lack of capabilities.
For sure. The third fixture for game week 2, guys, is City versus Norwich. Now, I'm not sure on the Pep Roulette. You guys will see throughout the season, Pep Roulette is a bit of a tricky one to try and work your way around. But the 2 players I picked there were Jack Grealish, simply because he's a box-to-box player. He works his way in through the left side of the box. He can really get a goal, get an assist, get some bonus points. I think he's a good shout for that game week. And then Mahrez, because Kevin De Bruyne and Phil Foden are both injured, I think Mahrez is going to be in the team more often. He can definitely wiggle his way into the box from that right side and either square away an assist or just put one in himself with that beautiful left boot of his. I think it's a definite possibility that against Norwich, they can do really well. Bearing in mind that last season, Norwich beat City. No, the season before last, sorry. Norwich beat City in their first fixture.
That was a...
Pookie scored 2. It was a fluke. I'm not going to lie, it was a fluke.
Was that not the reverse fixture of this?
That was at home.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I remember screaming and shouting about it. That's why it's so vivid in my brain. And then the last fixture I wanted to talk about, guys, is Arsenal versus Chelsea. Arsenal's performance last week against Brentford was pathetic. if I do say so myself. Mikel Arteta is on thin ice, walking on water there at
Thin
Arsenal.
water.
Thin water. He's walking on ice.
Yeah. And it's also a
So
London derby, so those are usually competitive
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah, Lukaku's first game, he's going to want to prove himself.
It is Lukaku's first game. I've already read the reports, and Tuchel has strongly hinted at Lukaku starting. Strongly. I think it's going to be his first game in, so he might need to find his legs a bit. I think he's a fantastic all-round player. The only thing I don't like about him is his first touch. It is the first touch of a schoolboy.
Although you
I
haven't
must-
seen
I
him
must say-
for 2 seasons.
Yeah, I must
He's
say since
definitely
Inter,
improved.
since Inter, he's learned how to play with his back towards goal. That's one of the main things Italy taught him to do. So we'll see how that
Greatness.
happens.
Greatness. Yeah, look, he's good with his feet, he's good at scoring, and he's good with his head as well. So I think it's going to be a spear point for Chelsea's attack. I also wanted to mention that Kane is back in training for Tottenham Hotspurs. So I want to doff my cap for a potential captaincy option this coming game week. If you do own Kane,
Redeem
You're
yourself.
the only one that owns Kane,
Yeah.
Kyle.
but yeah, just a wink there. Is there anything
Yeah.
you guys want to say about Game Week 2? Add to Game Week 2?
Yeah, the one thing that is catching my eye is that Kevin De Bruyne did play 11 minutes
Yeah.
against
Might come back.
Tottenham, and they looked a different team. So I think he's probably the most assured starter in the City versus Norwich game, because they basically can't do anything without him, it seems, until they get a striker. But
Very true.
I mean, Grealish, he looked okay, but he almost seems to me like he's going to still be the assister of the assister, like many City players are. So yeah, I think adding Kevin De Bruyne to that lineup of your captaincy options is a good idea, even though he's probably like 3% owned at the moment, so we're not really speaking to a large group of people that do have him, but one to keep your eye on.
For sure. If you can afford Bruno Fernandes, Mo Salah, and Kevin De Bruyne in your team, then you're in the top echelon of players, I would rate.
Yeah, you've also got like only 4 mil defenders and whatnot
Yeah, 3.8.
scraping through there. Yeah.
Yeah, moving on to
14
Game Week 3,
squad.
guys. I'm going to go a little bit faster on this one, I think. My
Great.
shouts are the City versus Arsenal, Grealish, Mahrez, and then obviously, as you added, KDB, who is my favorite player. I love the way this guy plays. He's a beautiful football player. The second fixture is Wolves versus Arsenal. Wolves versus United, sorry. Bruno Fernandes, Mason Greenwood. I didn't put Paul Pogba in there because, as we mentioned earlier, sporadic form, injury prone, not sure on his future. So I didn't add him into the Game Week 3 fixture against Wolves. I think Wolves without Nuno Espirito Santo might really suffer this season. In many ways, besides Raúl Jiménez, Nuno was the talisman of the team. He brought them up with a 22-man squad. He went to Europa with a 22-man squad, and they featured really well in the Premier League. So, I mean, without Nuno, I don't know if Wolves are going to perform. That's why I say it's a really good fixture for United, even though they're away. The next one is Spurs versus Watford. Son is basically carrying Spurs on his back now that Kane is maybe not in the team. I did put Kane there as a maybe because he's simply one of the best forwards on earth. Finishing wise, touches wise, dropping deep into the pocket. But yeah, Son would be my main shout for that Spurs Watford fixture. Moving on to the next fixture is Norwich versus Leicester. Leicester's form is on the up. I think Harvey Barnes was spectacular before his injury last season. I think he's a definite shout for a captaincy option, a strong captaincy option, especially if you don't want to go for a Bruno or a KDB or a Son. I think Vadi or Barnes would be your shout. I mean, Vadi is he's like 60 years old and he's still getting still scoring points.
With your
How is this
outside
not-
toe punter crosses.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a crack of a goal, though. Let's not lie. That finish.
He
madness.
continues to surprise every season.
Party, party.
Party, party.
So yeah, moving on, guys, to Game Week 4. Crystal Palace versus Spurs. Also, Crystal, I'm a little bit iffy on. I'm not sure on how they're going to perform this season. I'm sure they're going to stay in the Premier League, but against Spurs, I don't think they're going to do very well. So once again, Son, Kane, maybe we'll see on that. But Son is a really good shout for now and for the remainder of the season, guys. I really think Son could do really well this season, because statistically showing when Kane's not on the pitch, Son actually improves his game. So if you want to go according to that, Son might actually do really, really well.
And even without that statistic, Son and Kane are pretty much the only people that end up on that score sheet most of the time anyway. They're either assisting each other or not. So, yeah.
Very
Still
true.
a shout, nonetheless.
Very true. And this is for Game Week 4, guys. So the next fixture I want to talk about is United versus Newcastle. There's so many United fixtures. United are in form right now, on fire. The Red Devils, wow. So once again, Bruno Fernandes, Mason Greenwood. I don't know about Sancho.
Yeah, Sancho's going to start this weekend, so we'll have a good look at him and we can see if he's actually a genuine captaincy option or not.
For sure. This is definitely going to be refined throughout the weeks, so this is definitely subject to change.
Yeah, of course. Just to add input there, Sancho's price actually dropped. I saw that he's on a 9.4 now, so he's 0.1 cheaper. So see how that goes.
Yeah, you guys might want to put him on your watch list.
True.
The next fixture, Chelsea versus Aston Villa. I put Lukaku there. I want to talk a little bit about this because Aston Villa outperformed their defense last season. So their defense was actually really good last season, but they outperformed what everyone predicted them to do. Also, when Jack Grealish wasn't on the pitch, Aston Villa actually performed better defensively, which is
they
funny.
were more gritty. They just had to churn out those gritty wins.
Sure. So if Aston Villa find some form, I'm not too sure about this Chelsea-Aston Villa fixture. That being said, Lukaku must have found his legs by now, must have found his feet, and I think he's going to perform in this particular fixture, goal-wise.
Also, just to add, with Aston Villa, they've actually got Ashley Young. He started out on the left wing and he's a defender. So just depending on what happens how the manager plays Ings and Watkins together, I don't know. Defender playing wing is mad. So just to highlight that fact.
Very true. Very true. Yo, Aston Villa is definitely one to watch out for this season. They spent, I think, the third or the fourth most money out of any team in Europe this previous transfer window. So they've made major upgrades. Moving on to the next fixture, guys, is Leeds versus Liverpool. Obviously, it's the main man, Salah. That's a really good fixture for Liverpool. Even though it's an away fixture, I think it's a really good fixture. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that fixture in just a few moments. So moving on, guys, to the differential captaincy options. Game week 2, I picked Son versus Wolves because of Salah, Bruno Fernandes, Kevin De Bruyne, as you mentioned, Lukaku, Jack Grealish, all being potential captaincy options for game week 2. I think if you want to make a little bit of a punt, I think Son versus Wolves is a really, really good way to go if you want to climb some rankings. The second one I put there was Vadi versus West Ham. Simply because Vardy's ancient and he can't stop freaking scoring. It's ridiculous. I'm actually annoyed at him. Right.
Should have started with him.
Those are your two main differentials. Even previous seasons, Son and Vadi have sometimes outscored your main captain sources. So yeah, they are always verging on that captaincy choice, to be honest.
Very true. And then game week 3, if you don't want to go for the Bruno Fernandes or the Son or the Vadi, perhaps you can go for a DCL versus Brighton.
Not a bad shout.
That's a good potential differential captaincy option if you want to climb some rankings as well. Then game week 4,
just how Everton play. They're always trying to get it
exactly.
to the forward. They do a lot of crosses. Yeah, they play semi-old-fashioned. They don't try and work the ball too much, but they definitely, Calvert-Lewin always sees the ball coming past him at some point in time.
For sure. I actually think Calvert-Lewin can outscore his previous season now under Benitez. I really do. But yeah, game week 4, I picked Dominic Calvert-Lewin versus Burnley again because of my belief and faith that he could actually really do well differentially. The next one is a little bit of a weird one, guys. It's Aubameyang versus Norwich. The reason I picked Aubameyang versus Norwich is because in game week 4, you have potentials like Son, Bruno, Lukaku, Salah. If you own Aubameyang, which very little people do, but if you own Aubameyang, I think Arsenal could pull up their socks against Norwich and really get a return out of it, if you want to climb some rankings again. Right, do you guys have anything to add to that? You guys good?
No, it's a good way to
Yeah, I agree with you.
good way to plan our little heavy hitter rotation, because looking at it now, some people might see, okay, Chelsea and Liverpool play each other, so they might want to move Salah on. I know they're not going to do that, but for example, move Salah on to Aubameyang for 1 week. He plays Norwich, captain there. Boom, you get a double-digit return from your captain when Salah wasn't actually going to get a double-digit. So there's a few hop-scotching, hip-hopping, flip-flopping things you can do.
The only thing is, just always remember the price differences and the price changes when you are swapping out your big hitters, because you might not get them back.
Very true.
Very true. Good point to make, Jade. Very, very good. Right, guys. The last segment I'm going to be talking about today is the player focus. Now, this week's player focus is on Mo Salah. I went and picked through his stats from the previous leagues, from the previous seasons rather, against Burnley, against Chelsea, and against Leeds, which is his next 3 fixtures. Against Burnley, it's actually quite strange. Liverpool, or Mo Salah in particular, don't necessarily perform very well against Burnley. I looked at his previous goals, and there weren't many. They do have 4 wins, 2 draws, and 1 loss. Mo Salah only played 33 minutes in that loss, so that could be a major factor. So I want to say it's not necessarily his best team. That might cause you to rethink your captaincy option for this coming game week, because Burnley do hold up quite well against that Liverpool attack. The next fixture I want to talk about, guys, is Chelsea. Mo Salah doesn't have a single goal or an assist in his past 2 games versus Chelsea, which is very interesting for me.
No, that's surprising.
Liverpool do have 4 wins, 2 draws, and 2 losses against Chelsea, so they are in the green. But I'm not so sure on Mo Salah scoring or returning in that particular fixture.
Yeah, I mean, that is where he actually came from before he came to Liverpool. So maybe it's something personal issues, bogey team.
He did score the goal of the season 2 seasons ago against them. I don't know if you guys remember. He did that little slalom and whacked one in and got the goal of the season. So I thought that it's
consistent.
Yeah, I thought that he didn't have a problem playing Chelsea, but apparently not.
Very interesting. Very interesting. So, guys, I said that the Leeds versus Liverpool game, I was going to talk a little bit about it. The reason I said that is because last season was an absolute goal fest. It was actually crazy how open the game was. Both sides were attacking each other fiercely. Mo Salah got the most goals in that game, most touches in the box, most passes, which is funny because that's not his usual modus operandi. So he got the most passes in that game, and he was man of the match. So he's a really good captaincy option for that particular fixture, simply because there's going to be so many goals. Bearing that in mind, Bielsa did change the play style of Leeds slightly towards the end of last season. So I don't know if it's going to be the same style of play, but I'm definitely thinking strongly about captaining Mo Salah against Leeds.
Cool. I think that's a bit of a no-brainer. Okay, then we are going to move to our teams, how we did last week and how we're going to set up for the coming week. So we're going to start with my team. This team, shown on screen, got a nice 112 points. I'm pretty happy with that. Even though Soufal conceded twice and was very close to getting a attacking return. So I feel a bit unlucky with that 1-pointer of his. Martinez, the 3-2 loss to Watford was very surprising for a lot of people. So I'm kind of regretting spending that extra million on my keeper, whereas there are other 4.5 mil keepers doing just as good. But that is one to keep an eye on, so I'm not losing faith yet. Otherwise, my only other player that did not get a return was Harvey Barnes, and I'm giving him another week or 2 before I knee-jerk him out, but he's definitely the highest on my chopping block of people to go. Then I'm just going to quickly skim through the people that returned. Benrahma, Antonio got me a nice 25 points together. Greenwood, Fernandes, my team came through for me with a lack of 28 points. And Captain Salah, 34 points. And then Ings with a lovely 97th minute penalty to save me from another blank. And then the double Liverpool clean sheet. So yeah, a bit upset that I left Ayling on the bench, but can't really... I mean, no one was ever going to play him versus Man United, was it? And especially after conceding 5 goals, I'm not regretting it. He did get his first.
He made the right decision.
Yeah. So then, yeah, I'm going to just quickly show you now how I'm setting up for next week. And this is an easy one. I'm playing the exact same team. I'm rolling a transfer. So, yeah, I'm just going to give everybody another chance. The only person I was very unhappy with was Barnes. Not too unhappy with, but, you know, a bit disappointed. So I'm giving him one more week. I think if he blanks again, I might look to move him on with my double transfer that I've saved. But otherwise, yeah, I think it's looking good. Do you guys have any banter, or is my team just that perfect that you are speechless?
I mean, I'm extremely envious over your returns, so I don't want to come across like I'm jealous over here. Wow.
Carl has the
Basically
least
double
to say.
my
He almost
points.
doubled you there, Carl. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it is the first game
You
week.
had quite a cracker there.
Everyone
only
is-
have 2 players not returning is great. That's what you hope for.
Yeah, everyone is very closely knit in the first week. So people are 100 points, and they are hundreds of thousands of ranking positions below me, even though I'm only 12 points ahead of them. So don't let your ranking make you feel bad right now. It is very, very closely knit together for the first game week. So I'm going to go on to the next team. But before I do this, I need to say a disclaimer, which some of you might have noticed already. But the rankings for Jade and Kyle are actually swapped. So I should let it be known that Jade is not 4.3 millionth. He is 1.1 millionth. And Kyle is 4.3 millionth after his bad start, or his slow start.
Yeah.
Okay, so I just needed to make that known before we go on to Jade's team. Jade, you can go for it.
Perfect. Yeah. Not too disappointed, to be honest. The 90-point return is really not bad. I mean, last season, I think averagely you're looking at about 60s, 70s, maybe 80s every now and then. So not too disappointed. Like Brandon said, everyone is tight-knit at the top there. So hopefully this game week will be a change. In terms of my returns, I didn't get as many returns as Brandon, obviously, but I like Grealish. I think he has some potential, especially in that City shirt. They definitely score a lot of goals, so we'll be keeping him on. Shaw, I was a bit upset about, to be honest. I mean, a 5-1 game is great, but he got a yellow card. Didn't even give me that second point there, so slightly disconcerting, although he had a great Euro, so he'll definitely be staying along. And if you look at my team name, it's Shaw Bruce, so I've got to keep him. In terms of targets, I liked him last season. I don't know how I feel about Villa this season in terms of their defense, so I don't know what I'm going to do there. You know, I'm honestly thinking about a sneaky Young over there, since I mentioned him earlier playing wing. Same price and all. I just worried about how the manager sets up Watkins and Ings together. So yeah, in terms of Digne, also not the greatest return, but yeah, with Calvert-Lewin and him playing wing back, I'm pretty sure he's going to get an assist or something there soon as well. The rest of my team did pretty reasonably. Wilson got me a return, Ings got me a return, Fernandes, Greenwood, great, Salah captain, Saw, Watford, he seemed to be really involved. In terms of my bench, I'm a bit upset that I didn't play Tsimikas, but that's how that cookie crumbles, I guess. And then
you've got one more opportunity. Don't worry, you can play him this
exactly.
week.
And then I had King and Rose on my bench. Rose didn't start, so I don't know what's happening there, but I really feel like he's a great player. Played for Spurs, and yeah, like I said, King is now ready to feature for this game week. So I don't know if he's going to start. We'll see. Don't know if Dennis will keep his position or not. That's why I've got him. He's also only 5.5, so quite a budget saver there as well.
Oh, indeed.
And then to talk about how my team's lining up next week, I don't know if Brandon wants to change.
Yeah.
Great. In terms of my team lining up next week, I haven't made any transfers yet. I'm a bit hesitant. I don't know who to change, so I'm thinking of saving a double one and seeing what I can do next week. But yeah, I've got pretty much the same team so far. Captains on Salah versus Burnley. Kyle mentioned against that, so probably go to Southampton. Probably will be Southampton Fernandes. And yeah, King's also on my bench. Don't know who to throw him in for, so I just want to see if he starts. But Mikas, I haven't made the same mistake twice. He's definitely playing. So target went off there. But yeah, other than that, pretty excited to see how this game week goes.
Yeah, I would say that the only person I'm really, really jealous of in your team is Saw. Saw looked spectacular. Basically, everything went through him, and I've mentioned to you guys as well that he basically just dominated targets so much that he got taken off at half time, and he's probably never going to play again.
Yeah, that barely happens to a professional player. But in terms of you saying that, I'm jealous of your Ben Ramos, so we'll see how these two outcompete each other in the season.
Cool.
That will be exciting to see, I think.
Go on to Kyle's team now.
So let's just rip it off like a band-aid. All right, I'm going to go. I scored 60 points, guys. It was a terrible game week for me. As I said earlier, I didn't have Bruno Fernandes in my team, and I signed Kane because I thought I was being clever. Turns out I was wrong. So someone I was happy about was at least Mo Salah, that everyone in FPL has. So basically, 0 points for me, effectively. Lovely. Basically, the only person that returned on my team was Mason Greenwood. A nice 8-pointer there. Feels good. I think I'm going to keep him for a while until I can afford Bruno Fernandes back. But honestly, I really don't have much to say, guys. That's just
maybe you have a lot to say about this coming week. Let me show your team.
I do have quite a bit to say about this coming week.
I mean, honestly, just to mention on the side there, in terms of your Kane and Bruno situation that you seem to having, Kane's dropped price, Bruno's risen price, so you're essentially 0.2 off the difference there.
On the wrong side of the algorithm there.
I'm on the wrong side of the algorithm.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's your plans for this week?
So I want to talk about, my next game week. Just like you said earlier, Martinez didn't perform well, but I have faith in him because he's the bonus point king, absolute bonus point king. So I think this season he could increase or at least remain the same from his bonus points from last season. I'm just gonna keep Martinez in there. I think the team that is being shown on the screen has been slightly changed because I've made my transfer for this week.
Oh, what did you do?
Drum roll, I sold Harry Kane. And I've brought Lukaku in. So I've got 0.9 in my bank currently.
So you dropped
Lukaku in for the Arsenal-Chelsea game.
Yeah, so you dropped Kane.
I dropped Kane, and then I'm thinking of actually between Jack Grealish and Mason Greenwood for the next coming weeks, I'm thinking of bringing Son in for either one of them. I'm not sure which one yet.
Getting that Tottenham coverage.
Yeah, I need that Spurs coverage, and unfortunately, Kane is a definite doubt for which team he's going to play for. No one's sure. Not even Kane is sure. So
yeah, but even so, I mean, honestly, just mentioning that a player who's in doubt of knowing where he's going to end up might not always give his all. So personal issues do arise.
Very true. It'll be a serious test for his professionalism.
Yeah.
Because the supporters have kind of turned against him. He doesn't really want to be there. I don't see his teammates at Spurs kind of performing with him because they see his lackluster in his approach. He is at training, so we'll just have to see about that one. Hopefully, I don't eat my words a week from now. If he does play and scores 20 points, I'm going to be extremely upset.
Honestly, that'll be hilarious.
It would be.
Yeah, I'll be watching the game closely, Carl. I'll let you know if it happens.
Yeah, please do. I'll be watching closely myself from one eye.
Okay, so I just want to go on a quick final question before we wrap up. Are you guys sold on Salah captain, or are you leaning towards anybody else?
It's between Bruno and Salah. To be honest, I don't know. Carl's stats that he read there about Burnley, I didn't know. So that's actually somewhat in the back of my mind at the moment. Alan Dice definitely plays very scruffy in the back there. He's just 11 players defending until they get a breakaway type of thing. Like, they are very, very crazy. So I don't know. I think Southampton seems like the way to go.
Okay, Carl.
Maybe United can crack one of those 9-0s again.
I think this week I am going to put my armband on Jack Grealish.
Jack
Norwich.
Grealish.
Against Norwich.
Wow. Okay,
That
that's
is
a
what I'm-
maverick pick.
Yeah, that is a maverick pick. That's definitely out there. I think if he
I think
plays,
he's going to get his
starts-
first return for City.
Yeah, definitely. If he plays, I think he should. Yeah.
Interesting.
Liverpool didn't play too well, and they still scored 3 against them. So we'll see.
Yeah, I want to say that Mo Salah is still a great captaincy option for this Burnley fixture. For all intents and purposes, it's an easy fixture.
Should be. Yeah.
Should
Plus,
be.
he's on pens. He's always on pens.
But if you know the history, you'll know the future.
Wow, that was a nice bombshell
Yeah.
to basically end
There we
on.
go. Some philosophy out here.
Yeah, I just want to basically also just say for my captaincy option, I was actually on a Man United player this whole week, which was Greenwood actually, because I liked the position he was playing in, even though he had only one shot in the whole match, a shot in the
One
box.
shot, one goal.
One shot, one goal. However, Liverpool playing at home to a packed Anfield Stadium.
True. That's the
is
thing. Fans are back. That
slowly
makes a difference.
swaying me to Salah again.
Yeah.
So I'm still 50-50 on Greenwood or Salah, but I don't know. I
Just
don't want
need
to
a
make any
coin.
promises. Yeah, I need to flip a coin.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be tricky. I think captain decision is going to be made 5 minutes before deadline.
Yeah, I
They're gonna
think
be
Salah is
alternating
the safe
out.
option, and Greenwood would be your out there option.
Yeah.
Fans, yeah. I think even Bruno would. Yeah, I don't know. Hard to
It's tough.
say.
It is tough.
Well, good luck for the coming week. Jay, do you want to say anything else quickly?
Nope, just wrapping up with you. Yeah, good luck
Okay,
to everyone
cool.
else. And this was a sourced episode.
Yeah, hope you guys like the new look, and we will catch you next week. Hopefully, Kyle will have a
Cheers.
better week. Cheers.